So welcome to episode 3. Sorry about that, everyone. But literally right when the thing came on, I don't know if you guys heard that crash. I ran into um, the monitor and it knocked everything over. So I'm good to go. Glad to be here. Glad to have you guys here live with us. Thank you for taking the time out of the middle of your afternoon to join me in our CEO session. And so for those of you who are on live, let me know where you are watching from. Which city are you watching from? Are you eating lunch, drinking something, maybe not so spirited, but let me know so I can give you a warm welcome and thank you for joining me live. For those who don't know where I'm at, I'm in the Peach State. I'm in a little town right outside of, I guess it's south of Atlanta, southeast of Atlanta, in a town called Stockbridge, coming to you live. So let's see where we've got people. We've got people from Arizona. Carla, nice to have you. Burleson, Texas, my old stomping ground. Nice to have you. Michelle Lopez in Atlanta. Brooklyn, New York, where I was born. Nice to have you, Nadine. Alicia, Chicago. Elizabeth, Kent, UK. Welcome, UK. Millville, New Jersey. Washington, Carmen, Dottie, Angela, Tracy, Marnie, Cynthia, Dave, Dabney from New Orleans. Thank you all for joining us live. So, my goal when we started and launched this CEO session was really to create a space unique for travel advisors who are ready to show up in a powerful way. And, this is our 3rd episode doing it in this style, and love to have you guys join me during the lunch hour. So welcome back for those who are joining us and you have been here on all of our sessions. So last week we went over why selling travel is keeping you broke and what you need to do. So if you missed that, go ahead and check us out inside of our CEO community. You can get there at onlinetravelboss.com/CEO network, and that will get you inside of our community. And we talked about how most advisors are selling, most successful advisors, what they're doing is they're selling their expertise. They're not just selling trips. They're not just selling destinations. So again, if you missed it, check us out inside of our Travel CEO community. And let me know in comments if you saw it and you joined us last week and you liked what you heard. So let me know. I'm going to start us off with our first poll. And if you are new to me, let me tell you kind of how we do this. Let me kind of get my screen. My screen is all discombobulated now. It's so funny. I gotta figure out how to get it uncombobulated. That just tells you how old I am, right? Because discombobulated comes from Gidget for those who are of a certain age and you know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to launch the first poll. Let me know where you are with your pricing right now. Are you using supplier pricing, charging small fees, have a premium pricing structure, or are you still trying to figure it out? Let me know. Answer the poll. When we get to about 50 or greater, I'll end it and let you know kind of where we are and where everybody is, because that's what today's topic is all about. It's all about the pricing trap and how we as advisors can avoid that. So we're almost at 50%. And now I'm going to tell you where we are. We're almost there, just a couple of more. And perfect. I'm going to end it now, share the results. So where you all are who are watching us live, we are at, most of you guys are using supplier rates plus a standard commission. That's about 38% of you all. Close second is you're charging a small fee, but mostly commission based. And so what we're going to talk about today is how we sort of flip that and we allow you to actually increase your bottom line by thinking a little bit outside of the box and actually leveraging the power that you have. So for those, again, if you don't know me, I want to welcome you again to our our Travel CEO session. My name is Sunday Gardner, and today we're going to be exposing one of the biggest lies that is in the travel industry, that your worth as a travel advisor is exclusively tied to commissions. we want to break that that lie. We want to show you what you can do. And if you're tired of watching your hard work kind of go for nothing, right? And you're only getting tiny commissions, this episode is really going to change the way that you think that. Let me know in comments if you guys are ready for that. I would love to hear if you are ready to sort of flip that script. And again, I have to apologize, because I'm really trying to get my chat up so I can see what you guys are saying at the same time. All these different monitors, like I lit like my monitor, like talk about, you know, you get everything all set up and then now I can't see anything. All right, I think I got the chat so I can see you guys typing at the same time. I kind of like to keep track of what you guys are saying. Perfect. All right. Okay, so I think we got a bunch of readies. You guys are ready to go, and I think I've got my whole, the chat room up. It's amazing all the stuff that you do like at the same time. All right, so listen, what I want you guys to do is I want you to take your calculator out. If you're not a math person and you're like, you know what, I can do it in my head, that's fine. But I want you to take your calculator out and I want you to do something for me. What I want you to do is I want you to take your last income that you got. So if it's some of your total commission checks, if you know that number, and I want you to divide it by the number of hours that you worked to get that. And then I want you to put in the comments what that is. So I'll wait. And then I want you to know what that number is. I want to know what that number is. So whatever your last commission check, so maybe you didn't get a commission check, whatever your last commission check was, I want you to take that commission check and I want you to divide it by the numbers of hours that you worked to do that particular book of business. And I want you to think about from the time that if you did a fit, from the time you did the fit, you got the request, you met with them to the time of the booking, what was your total hours? I will wait. Alicia's like, I've been ready. $25. So you made $25 an hour. All right. Any other numbers? 319, 167, 45, 82 pounds. I love it. I love the fact that we're at 82 pounds. That's a little bit over $90, $10, right? $197. Good. All right. So that's the industry. That is what the industry thinks that your expertise is worth. And my question is, are you okay with that? Are you okay with the numbers that you are seeing? Drop a 1 if you are shocked by the number that you have. Type a 0 if you're like, yep, I'm cool. I'm good with that number. Let me know while you guys are dropping those numbers. So thank you guys for those. Alicia says, heck no, I'm not. Okay, 1, I am shocked by that. Let me tell you about Jessica. So she's a client that I've worked with in about a couple, last year when she met and I met together, she was exactly where you guys are. She was booking luxury Caribbean vacations. She was doing cruise vacations, and she was following all the rules, supplier rates. That's what she was doing. And she was getting her standard commission, working with every client who came her way. She didn't choose her clients, they just came. And she was making about $1,000, $1,500 a month, barely covering her expenses. But what I want you to do is I want you to write this down. This is the part that changed for her when we worked together. She stopped pricing based on supplier rates and started using what I call the value stack method. So if any of you all are on and you've gotten our value vault method book, you are familiar with this. And if not, I'm going to talk to you about this. And within 30 days of her actually using that stack method, she went from a standard $1,500 to about $3,500 in premium experiences. The best part for her? Her clients were the clients that valued her service. So she was no longer just working with everybody that came her way. She was working with people that valued her services, that actually valued the prices that she came with. But her website still looked a little bit basic. So I want you guys kind of step back and think about that too. Where do you want to be in your business? And does your brand reflect that? How many of you guys feel like that? Is your brand reflect what you want to charge? So if you want to be a high ticket seller, right, and you want to command high tickets, what is your website telling you about your business? And so if your website isn't telling the right story, you're sending mixed signals. If you want to be a higher ticket, you got to look the look, right? You got to speak the language, and you also got to look the look. So your website could also be the thing that's sort of holding you back. So what we did when we worked with Jessica, one of the things that we looked at is not only what do we need to do for her pricing, how did she need to show up? We also needed to talk about her digital show up game as well. And so what I want to do now is I want to talk to you about the 3 parts of the transformation that happened for Jessica and what you can do as a travel advisor as well. And so the first one is the hidden cost of commission-based pricing. Every time you price based on supplier rates, I'm gonna even back up. I'm gonna go a little bit off script. I'm gonna give you an example. There is a supplier that I use for our tour operator. It's Culture Holiday. Love the sales guy. He's really great. The people are amazing when you go on a trip. However, when I first got introduced to him a couple of years ago, one of the things that, and they're not commission based, they give you pretty much wholesale pricing, and you can charge it whatever you want. And so one of the things when I met with him in Dubai, he said, well, I just tell my advisors to just charge $200. I will never forget this. He was like, I will just tell my advisors to charge $200 all over cost. And that to me is equivalent to telling somebody just to go with the commission, right? Because commissions are usually around that per person, right? And the objective is to sell in volume, right? So that you can get more $200 sales. But my question to you is your expertise really only worth $2,000? I was taken aback. I was clutching my pearls when he said that. And I never forget that. And so every time he comes to speak, I tell him, I'm like, you're not allowed to talk about pricing. You're not allowed to recommend the price that people should charge for your trips. Like, you leave that to me. Do not have a conversation with my client base or my community about pricing. And so my question is, do you guys feel like that too? Are you just charging a couple of $100s over cost, or are you really charging based on the expertise and what you bring to the table? Here's the deal. You're competing with every other online booking person, right? Every online agent also that is selling themselves as a commodity. And my question to you is, do you want to be a commodity seller? Do you want to be the person that looks and sounds like every other advisor? Now, we've got several, I think close to 50 people on this live today, but do you guys all want to sound like each other? Do you want to sound and look like each other? Or do you want to show up as the unique VIP that you are and create unique experiences for your clients? And if so, you do want to stand out. And so what I will tell you is suppliers, that is what they want you to sell their properties. They want you to do it. And they tell you the advantage of doing this is because we're going to give you fill in the blank commission. But at the end of the day, you control the narrative. And what I want you to take away from today's session is you need to take control of the narrative. And so that means you also take control of the pricing, and that you don't want to be commodity pricing yourself the way that everybody else is. Now, so what do we need to do? Right? Because what I'm telling you is you don't just go out there and price, increase the price and don't give anything of value, right? That's absolutely not what I'm suggesting. What I am suggesting is that you need to create packages that include this formula. And so the formula is pretty simple. Here's how this works. Instead of starting with your supplier rate, so I'm going to use some numbers just for the sake of this episode, I'm going to give you some numbers just so we can just kind of keep things simple, right? Supplier rate, let's say supplier charges you $1,000 for whatever the package is, right? So let's not talk necessarily about all the components of the package. It costs you about $1,000. That's the cost that they do. You just charge $1,200. The value stack formula is really about doing these types of things and adding to that. you've got destination expertise. I want you guys to type in the comments. How many of you guys have certification after certification about destinations, right? You go to all the webinars that are offered by a particular destination. You've got, I remember when I started in the industry, I had I would post them on social media. Look, I became a, certified this. I have a certification of that. I went to this webinar. I got that, right? So you've got destination. And not only do you have destination to get any of the perks that the suppliers get, you also have supplier expertise, right? Enter in any cruise training that you've taken. I am like a PhD in Royal Caribbean, and several other cruise lines that I've gotten the highest level, whatever training that they've got, right? And so you are an expert in those things. You've got certifications to prove it. You also have exclusive connections, right? How many of you guys have connections with the suppliers that you work with? So I just mentioned Vickle, who is the primary. I don't know if they've split themselves up into regions now, but for Culture Holiday, if I've got a problem, I call Vickle. Not only do I call Vickle, I got another guy I call if there's a problem at a destination. If I'm doing a tour that they're doing and I bought into that, there's another person that I call, right? There's an accounting person that I call. If I need, so I know who to contact when it comes to I need an exclusive. Not only that, when I go to the hotel for whatever destination, I know the salesperson. I know how to get perks that most clients won't even know how to do. How many of you guys have that in your back pocket? How many of you have exclusive connections in your back pocket with your suppliers, right? Many of you guys are typing yes. How many of you guys have time-saving systems? How many of you guys protect your client and you already know about what's going on about the trip before the person even knows? You know about their flights. You know about if things are, probably at the same time, if not before, you know if a flight has been changed or not. You know if it's been delayed. How many of you guys know that about your trips, right? How many, right? All of you guys are saying yes. How many of you have an emergency support system in place? So if shit just all goes hell in a high basket, you have a contact list that your clients can go to. You are on the contact list that your clients can go to. Each of these items has value. And my question to you is, are you pricing to include that value to the table that you bring? Let me tell you this, ladies, ladies and gents, right? Anybody can use AI now, right? We are in an AI world. Anybody can go on AI, go to ChatGPT, Perplexity, or fill in the blank, Expedia, Kayak. It doesn't matter because they all have AI now, right? And they can go get a destination recommendation, but they don't have all of the things that I just ran through, right? They don't spend the time that you all do, and that's a value. And if you aren't talking about those things, you're doing yourself a disvalue. And if you aren't pricing accordingly, you're also doing your pocket a disservice. So here's what I want you to really be thinking about: premium pricing positioning. Let's say it again: premium pricing positioning, the triple P. I want you to stop selling trips. I want you to start selling the experience. When you position yourself as a designer of experiences rather than a booking agent, stop calling yourself an agent. Stop calling yourself the thing that the online agents are, right? You aren't an agent. Frankly, we even now have AI agents. That's what they're called, right? They're little AI bots that somebody can go in, type in something, and they can get a set of results. This is not who you are. This is not what you are. And so stop calling yourself that. It's also about language. I'm a big proponent of language, and the words that we use help set not only our internal tone, but also the tone for other people. Price becomes a secondary value when you start selling through experiences, right? One of the biggest mistakes that I see advisors make is that they try to charge premium pricing but their website looks average. Right? You want to charge, but your presence is average, right? High-end clients are judging you, right? So if you want to attract a particular type of client, they're going to see your online presence and they're going to judge you based on that presence. So I don't want you to say it's all gloom and doom, but I do want you to say that you need, I used to say a couple of years ago is, if you're showing up ratchet, don't be surprised by what you attract, right? I want you not to show up ratchet. If you want to attract a specific type of client, make sure that everything is in alignment. Now, I don't think that it requires that you show up in suits, because I don't think that that's required. So you don't have to be like, you don't have to have these, you in a business suit and you go in to take professional images and have all that plastered everywhere. I don't think that's a requirement, because I think that the landscape of what professionalism in my mind has changed dramatically since I entered the workforce, right? So when I entered the workforce in the mid 90s, right, you couldn't dare show, if lives were a thing back in 95, I couldn't dare show up in my jumpsuit, right? That's not what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is whoever and whomever you want to attract, ensure that the brand is in alignment, right? Make sure that you are in alignment to what it is that you want to attract. So what I want to tell you is that if you're like, how many of you guys feel like your website or maybe your presence is not in alignment to who you want to attract? Maybe your processes are not in alignment to who you want to attract, right? Like, how many of you guys feel like that? I'm gonna take a sip. Me, yes. Carla, Dave, I do. Okay, listen. How many of you guys feel like you're not techie and like you're like, my website is moving in that direction? Perfect. I do. All right. So a lot of you guys are feeling that pain. And so what I get from a lot of advisors is that, I'm still, Nadine says, I'm still working on my website. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of people tell me that. I'm still working on it. I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know what to put on the website. And so we did build a done for you travel business website. We had just launched that inside of our software travel pro suite. I'll talk a little bit about that later, but I just want to tell you that you have help, right? There's help available. You can use us. But what I will tell you is this whole shift that we're talking about this season around going from a commodity, an agent, to a CEO requires a shift in brand as well if you're not there. This is, digital business cards are absolutely a thing, but your website is the hub of who you are, and it needs to reflect what you want to attract in terms of business. So let's take another poll. What I want to do is I want to get your feedback right now, and let's see where you guys are right here. All right, so next poll is, what is your biggest concern about raising your prices? Losing your current clients, competition, charging less, not sure how to justify higher rates, fear of rejection. Like, I'm going to tell you a little bit of my story while you guys are answering that. Raising prices for me was huge. There was a lot of insecurity that I had around charging what I wanted to charge. And I always say, whatever you charge needs to put a really stupid grin on your face, because you want to show up and not have any barrier. Like, you don't want to be like doing work and be like, man, this is so not worth it, right? Like, you don't want to feel like that. You want to show up and you want to feel like you're being compensated for the work that you do. And so I'm going to share a little bit more than probably I should share. But like, every time I would say my number, like my armpits.
When we're going to be gone, I couldn't go to it for that reason. So it's March 14, 15, 16.
March 15th, so they'll be done with that one.
The mute quick enough. Hold on, let me unmute whoever I need to mute.
Rattle it off or auction it, but I'll just tell them I need it back, and then I'll bring that one today. And you can
set up for muting. Participants, mute all. Beautiful, got it. All right, mute all current participants. Sorry about that. All right, so let me give you guys the results of the poll. We have 50% of you all are concerned about rejection. And I'm going to tell you, that's exactly how I felt as well when I started really thinking about raising my prices. Like I said, my armpits would itch. I'd like break out a little cold sweat. And I was just afraid that people would tell me no. And what I will tell you is that this is common. And so what we do out of that fear is we don't do anything. We don't raise our prices. We just stay stuck in accepting what we get because we don't want to deal with that fear. And what I will tell you is deal with it. Like, this is the biggest thing that you can deal with in your business is if you want to be a high ticket travel seller, and that's what you need to be thinking of yourself. You do not want to be selling like you don't want to be making $200 in commissions. You don't want to be making $300 in commission. You want to be making multiple thousands of dollars for your trip take home, not what you gross, but what is actually net to the business. Then you're going to have to get over this fear, right? Like, I want to just ask you guys, how many of you guys are ready to step out of that fear? 50% of you all are in that fear. Are you ready to step out of that fear? How many of you guys are ready to do that? And because the reality is in order to be ready to do that, you have to acknowledge that it exists. You have to acknowledge that that is the thing that is causing you not to say it. So one of the things, and again, I'm a little off script. So like, everyone who watches this later that, you don't know, but I know. I'm like, okay, Sunday you went totally off. So I may go a little bit longer than the plan, but this is really important, I think, to let you all know. I want you to write down right now, what is the number that you want to be selling your trips at? Forget your suppliers, forget that. What is the number for your trips that you want to be selling your trips at? Right. And I want that number to feel uncomfortable. And I want that number to put a little bit of a stupid grin on your face. Right. And if you want to share, put it in the comments, but I want you to do it. So for me, when I look back, when I first started coaching, and so I'm saying per trip, I want you to write down the number that is your per trip sale. When I first started coaching, the thought of charging $5,000 just felt like stupid uncomfortable for me. It was when I first started, I hadn't personally ever invested $5,000 in a coach. But then the first time I did and what I got, I was like, okay, $5,000. I'm done. I'm in like swimwear, right? So I had to personally get over my own fear of spending that myself on a coach than to charge it, right? So what I want to do is, you guys you're writing your numbers. So I appreciate you guys sharing. We've got 4,500. Tracy has said, Cynthia says between 4,000 and 5,000. Are you currently selling at that? Like, are you ladies currently selling at that price point? If not, I want this to feel a little bit uncomfortable for you. 3,500, and these numbers are doable. Like, these are not like, you're not like I want you to even push the envelope. Like, do we have anybody out there? Like, I'm going to run this like do you have anybody out there who's selling 10,000, 15,000, and they're taking home, 4,000 or 5,000? Right? Elizabeth wants to do 4,000, right? So my question to you is, I want it to feel a little bit uncomfortable. And if you're not already doing that, I want you to write this down, and I want you to put it on a sticky that's on your laptop screen or your computer screen, wherever you work. And I want that number to be something that you see. I want you to get comfortable seeing the number. I want you to say the number multiple times during the day, because that is the number that you want to start achieving. So you got to start getting comfortable. And that fear is because, one, you don't know anybody who probably is doing it. You didn't even probably have the number written down, and you're like, it's like, I can't even imagine that, right? Because you're seeing these smaller checks come in and you're like, I can't imagine that. So I want this to become a normalized thing for you, right? So I'm even going to skip my original call to action, because I just gave you a very powerful one. How many of you guys are committed to doing that? How many of you guys are committed to how many of you guys are committed to, I just got a notice, I just wanted to make sure, I guess I'm recording on Zoom. How many of you guys are committed to the number that you've just written down on your paper, and if you've shared it, and then also living by it? Love it. Pam says yes. Tracy says yes. I love it. Dottie says yes. Dave says yes. Beautiful, right? So when I see you, because I've seen your names, when I see you out there on the internet streets, I'm going to ask you your number. I'm going to ask you, are you committed to it? I'm going to ask you, is it on your screen? Because that is what I want you to do. My number is on my screen on a sticky note right here, right? So I want to make sure that you keep it at the forefront of your mind. All right, so here is, if you want to break free from commission based pricing, here's what you can do. What I want you to do is I want you to think about what your exact formula for premium pricing needs to be. I have a calculator that I'm going to give you guys all. For those who have joined me live, I will give this calculator to you. What it's going to do is it's going to show you what your base price is and then what you need to be including, considerations that you need to be. Literally, this needs to be your practice every time you put together a package, right? You get a supplier rate, and then you need to add on your value step elements, right? It doesn't need to be just straight supplier rate, and that is all that you do. You know, I think one of the things that we talked about last week is really what is included in your package. We're not going to rehash that today, but I want you to really be thinking about what is your package. Is it something that can be shoppable? Is it something that they can find online somewhere else? The answer to that every single time should be no. Right? Because you don't want to create these sort of cookie cutter experiences for your clients. You want to create these one of a kind experiences that warrant the number that you want to be making and charge ultimately. All right. How many of you guys feel empowered by this? How many of you guys feel like, wow, I didn't know this, or you felt like you know it, but you weren't doing it? Like, let me know where you guys are right now. And then we're going to jump into, some open questions. The reinforcement is good. This is an eye opener. Awesome. Just starting to change, still unsure because my advisors haven't really started specializing. So we're selling everything. Yeah. And, you know, Carla, this brings up a really good point, which is most advisors, that shift is hard because they are doing everything. And so you said so I assume maybe you have an agency of people who are under you. And so one of the things that you can really start to think about is what kind of agency do you want to be known for, right? A jack of all trades makes it much more difficult for you to stand out. But what I would do is I would really start to say, okay, step back and look at your agency and what is it that you want your agency to stand for? What is it that you want your agency to be remembered? Now, to the extent that you have other advisors, you can make that broader because there's more of you than just one person. You can then create verticals that say, okay, you know, I have agency owners that, you know, we have a Disney book of business. We have a luxury book of business. And so each of those have a specific persona that you would be trying to attract in your business. And based on that, that is then how you would then build everything out. After having a one-on-one session with me, I'm empowered and went down a rabbit hole. Rabbit holes can be good, Martinine. And I did enjoy our one-on-one conversation. So I'm looking forward to seeing how things turn out for you. Tracy says that my issue is charging a fee last year, but my book of business is kind of empty right now. All right, so Tracy, it looks like you've got to start to identify who it is that you want to go after, and then you've got to create a positioning plan to get in front of them so that you can start to attract them. So when people tell me that they don't have any they don't have any discovery calls booked, they don't have any bookings, in their pipeline, they don't have anything in the pipeline, that's a marketing problem. That's a problem that is a result of you not having anything active in place to attract. That's a whole nother episode that we can go into, but I will just sort of allude to the following, that in order to ensure that you don't have dry seasons, you need to be prepared now for that. So when things are going well, right, we're right in the middle of, if you are in the cruise industry, right in the middle of wave season. First quarter is wave season. And so, maybe you're really going really strong, booking a lot of business right now. And then you go into second quarter and things are dry because you don't have any marketing system that gets people to the business on a consistent way, so that you aren't, you've got this peak and then you've got this drop in business once you're done working all that business. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, what I will tell you is, and this is what I know to be a fact, advisors love designing trips, right? Like that's what you love to do. And the problem is that you are marketers first and designers second. And so marketing is not comfortable for you. So you don't like to do it. You don't like to raise your prices because you don't want people to tell you no. You don't like to market because you don't know how to do it. And so you avoid all those things that make you uncomfortable. But those things are the things that are going to ensure that you consistently make money. All right. And so what we've got to do this year is that we got to be uncomfortable. We've got to shake ourselves up and step into uncomfortable activities so that we can make sure that we have longevity in this business. People don't lose their business because their idea sucks. The business sucks. I mean, maybe the way that you're running the business sucks, but the idea and the product isn't suck. It's not that travel is on the downslide. I don't know that it ever will be on the downslide unless we have another pandemic. But even during the pandemic, there are people that still traveled, and then there are businesses that still flourished. And so what I will say is get uncomfortable doing the things that are not comfortable for you. Designing trips, the thing that you love, will come as a huge byproduct of doing the one thing that you may not like, which is systematizing your business and marketing your business in a consistent way to attract the people that you want. All right. Any other questions before we go? I'm a little, like I said, discombobulated this episode. I'll get back on track next week, but let me know what you guys are thinking in terms of your pricing track. Are you guys ready to break free from that? Are you ready to add the value stack to Let's Get Uncomfortable, people? I love that, Jerry. Hopefully I said your name, or is it just Jerry? And so let me just make sure that I covered everything. Here, you guys are going to get a survey at the end of this session. Please fill it out. Let me know your comments. What I want to also let you know is if you are one of those advisors that are really looking for a way to get their website to match their brand, match the kind of numbers that you all wrote down, I will be releasing some website services that our company can do. You'll look out for that in email that'll be coming out to you, I think, tomorrow. Look out for that. Just reply back, let me know, and we will be able to help you all do that. So drop the word website in the chat. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes, and then you can come off, if you'd like to come off mute and answer some questions, ask me some questions. I can do that. All right, lovely. We got several website responses. And so if you'd like to come off chat, ask me some questions. I will take some live questions, which I have not done in the last couple of sessions, but we are a little ahead of schedule. So anybody have a question that they would like to ask directly?
Hi, Sunday. How you doing?
Great.
I do have a question, if it's okay for me to ask, outside of what you trained on today.
If it's related to Travel Pro Suite, if you get offline, I can do that.
Travel only?
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to stick today with the open questions around this topic.
Okay, all righty.
Around the software, Tanya? Do you need help with the software?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll reach out to you after this session.
Okay, thank you.
You're so welcome. Any other questions about pricing, what you need to do when it comes to pricing for your business? If not, I will end and I will see you guys next week. Any questions before we go?
Hi, Sunday. This is Dottie. I do have a question.
Hi, Dottie.
Right. Hi. Regarding pricing, and that is there are various suppliers that I'm sure we all use. Some are easy to just increase your price right when you're giving them a quote, like Vax. You can just add the percentage or the amount of what you would like to increase the rate by to help with your commission. Then there's those other suppliers like maybe Classic Vacations, Vacation Express, even the cruise lines, Royal Caribbean, Carnival. I don't see a way how you can, or how we can portray that price increase when giving a quote. Do you have some advice on that?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Dottie. And I think that's a pretty common question that I get is how do I increase my rate when I'm using suppliers that are pretty much at standard? So there's a couple of responses. Most of the examples, and I was thinking of Vax yesterday in a training, their name just sort of just completely eluded me. So thank you for putting it back into my head. Using Vax, Vacation Express, the other one, what was the other one that you said?
Classic Vacations.
Classifications, right? Those are tour operators that aren't giving you the best rates. They're pretty much going to be right there at standard. Their packages are pretty basic as well. You've not, most of the packages that they put together are packages that anybody can put together, right? So they don't have anything unique added to them. And so really when I talk about the value stack, it's above and beyond just the package that you are getting from the suppliers that you need to add. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So part of it is, you know, I've used Vacation Express, I've used Classic, I've used Vax. It's air and hotel and maybe some general activity if you decide to add that in your package. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the package in and of itself is not extraordinary. And I'm not trying to be mean, but it's not extraordinary in terms of warranting you to be above and beyond that. Now, I don't know what I do. What I can say is I don't know what you all have in terms of host agency relationships. I don't know what you can and cannot do from a pricing perspective, but I'm going to assume that you do have some leeway to create a package outside of just what a tour operator like Classic can put together for you, right? If the answer to that is yes, you use that as your base. And then what you're doing is you're layering on your value stack items to create an all-encompassing package that then cannot be priced. And it's going to be more than what the Vacation Express is. Sounds like, you know, again, I don't know how you're invoicing. If you're trying to invoice through those suppliers, that's going to limit you as well. My recommendation is not to invoice through a supplier, to invoice through your own system, send out the invoice so that you can then add all of the additional items that you need and create a single invoice. Does that make sense, Dottie?
It does. Currently, my invoicing, I have the option in my CRM to itemize an invoice.
So I wouldn't itemize for sure. I would not itemize.
Okay.
I mean, I want you to think about what the suppliers do to you, right? They're not itemizing, so don't itemize for your clients either.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I'm suggesting is your supplier, whatever your supplier gave you as an itinerary and as a quote, you all as designers need to be going above and beyond that. You also need to be stretching your suppliers to give you different options. I'm going to say this, and this may not be popular. Those tour operators that you just gave, they're great for general booking, general travel. What I would also suggest is that if there's a particular destination that you're going to, is that you seek out alternative suppliers.
Okay. So with that said, I also use suppliers like GoAway is like one of my favorites. So that would be another one that, as we're talking about this, and I'm thinking about how I could better utilize GoAway and any other supplier with having some items that are more valuable to my client, I would probably need to go and use, like I use Travefy, and I can build an itinerary from there, giving them a quote from there. The only issue I have is that typically when using Vax, because of the type of client that I have Sunday, and what their budget is, I give them 3 to 4 options of hotels that would work for them, which would mean more work for me using travel.
I'm gonna just stop you there. You just said the problem. It's the type of client that you're working with. You're giving too many options. So stop all of that. You're in control of that. Stop it. Like, stop it. Like you if you want to change, make the change. Like you cannot make them change. You have to change and create. You need to create a path for yourself to attract a different type of client. They're not going to change. So trying to get them to fit into your model isn't going to work. There are 2 billion people on Facebook every single month, right? Whoever you're working with is the wrong person if you're not getting the results that you want. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
It does. And I can think about a path for myself, as I'm sure the other advisors can do as well. It's just thinking about it in a logical way so that it works and that I could bring it to fruition.
Yeah, and you know, again, this may be a hard pill for you to swallow and others to swallow as well. The reality is, you know, I just had this conversation with my husband the other day, is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is a recipe for insanity, right? Like everybody's heard that quote.
I agree.
And you cannot assume that if you are working with a certain type of client and that you've been working and attracting, that you changing the model is going to make them change. You've got to change what you want to do and be willing to walk away from the client base that isn't going to change. You present to them, and we talked a little bit about this last week, you present to them what your change is, but don't be married if they say no, because then that absolutely means that you need to continue doing the shift. Don't try and expend, like, and I'm going to give a really good sort of relatable example for you all. If you have a Facebook group and everyone in the Facebook group, like I've built Facebook groups for years, and the Facebook dies, right? There's not activity. And I'll have people who's like, yeah, I have a Facebook group, it's got 300 people and nobody's interacting. The best way to get a popping group and a popping client base is to get new clients, right? Is to get new group members. That's the example that I want to give you. So you already have a client base. I'm not suggesting that you leave that client base alone, but what I am saying is make the shift that you want to make in your business. And if they aren't receptive, up the marketing game to start attracting the right type of people. Don't continue to be at this level when you want to be at this level because the clients that you're working with, that means that you need to get new clients. And it's your job. There's nobody else. They're not going to find you. They're not going to knock on your door. You've got to position yourself and put yourself out there to be discovered.
Right.
Hopefully that helps.
Yes,
right.
that's helpful. Thank you.
Good. Awesome. All right. Before we go, we've got a couple more minutes. I can take maybe 1 or 2 more questions. Let's see if there's anybody else. No? All right, so I've got all the people that replied website. I will reach out to you all so that we can have a conversation about your website. Listen, next week episode, let me remind myself what we're going to be doing next week. You know what? I didn't even put next week, so it's going to have to be a surprise. I don't have my list in front. Let me see if I can find it. I'm like, certainly I've got my list of what we're going to be going over next week. Hold on. I'm gonna tell you, note to self, never knock your computer over before a training. So you like lose, like all my screens went away. Like I'm just gonna have to, like if I could do a blooper session, it would be funny. I'm sure you guys would find it to be super hilarious. I cannot find what our episode 4 is. Hold on, let me get my schedule and we'll tell you what we're gonna do next week. And while I'm doing that, like, how are you guys enjoying the sessions? Like, are you enjoying the material? Let's see if I can find our plan for next week. It's funny, like I know exactly what happens in my life, like right before it happens. Why discount clients are ruining your business. So Dottie, I think this next week is going to be for you. So that's what we're going to be talking about next week is how do we get your clients, if they are discount seekers,
Yes.
what you need to do alternatively. That's what we're going to be going over next week. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Excellent, helpful. Thanks, Nadine. I appreciate Lacey say this is great. Lacey, how are you doing? Hopefully everything is going great. Elizabeth say it's been a great session. Love the sessions and training. So perfect. This season, we are almost at the midway point of this season. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Thanks again for joining live.